Everybody, sorry about the small 5-minute delay. How is everyone doing? What's up, Tate? What's up, Bill? Anthony? Nick? What's up, Joshua? Hello, Joanna. What's up, Christian? Pam? Hey, Ben? BB? Cold smoke? We don't got too much cold smoke right now. What's up, Bandit? Eddie Webb in the house. Good to see you guys. To the moon. What's up, Tom? Did it snow? Wow, that's sick. All right, let's jump in. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. There is the position disclosure. I'm back to being 100% long. I got out of Amazon today for the first time in quite a while. It finally got to my target, that 130 area. I got out of pins from yesterday. I got into and out of TNA, Snap, Apple. Let's go over to the video tape. Let's take a look at the chart. So we closed on highs after a gap down. That's pretty much the low of the day for the SPY, is the gap low. So let's actually go over to the daily chart. Let's start with this. So the discussion that we've been having, excuse me, the discussion that I've been having with you guys for the last several days now is what the pullback in the market needs to look like. A broader time or price correction than what we have seen after such a big upside move is really what I've been kind of calling for. I think I said it like this. Highest probability is a bigger price time correction than we have seen previously. Second highest probability is just the continued momentum, higher low, higher high, comes in right away. I think we're already past that. And then lowest probability is a complete full-on reversal, which is something that could still build out even if it's the lowest probability. So I've been looking for a deeper price correction than just the move to the ADMA, a deeper price / time correction. One of the ideas that I floated today as we pulled back further, the low today in the SPYs is 433.60. The low today in the Qs is 360.22. So basically got to the upper band of the area where I was looking to see if the market could pivot. I was looking at 357.50 to 360, and the SPYs didn't quite get there. One of the things I kind of postulated in the morning meeting today was, and this goes back to the thought process of just getting a broader time price correction after such a big move, is that we do try to find some footing here. We do try to find a pivot. It's day 4 down. Again, I was hoping for a little bit more downside in the SPYs to get a bit bigger, but it's fine. I was able to build in enough. But maybe this pivot, this attempted pivot that we're seeing now, doesn't just immediately dramatically take us right back to new highs. Maybe it gives us a nice bounce from here. We get to these upper 430s, maybe even retest 440, and we actually start to build out a wedge where you get like kind of higher lows still coming in, but some lower highs coming in. That technically would be a bull pattern, right? It'd be a bullish wedge in this area if that builds out, or a bull pennant. And that also would be a much broader time correction. Let that build out over the course of a week, something like that, and then we'll see how it breaks. If it breaks up, which would be the higher probability situation, well, then what do we get? We got a broader time correction, which was kind of our expectation. The 21 EMA will be able to catch up to the base of that pattern. Then we break higher, and then we just have trend continuation after a longer time correction. Or for the bears out there, it gives you an opportunity to actually break the market down also. We understand the high degree of failure that can happen in chart patterns, and you get that wedge that comes in. If that wedge breaks to the downside, you get below the 21 EMA after it caught up, then we would be looking at deeper support levels to potentially test, like even a retest of 4,200 in the SPX. That was such a key breakout area. So we'll see how it plays out. So far, so good for the bulls here today, creating a pivot low on a day 4 gap down. It's exactly what bulls needed to do in the equilibrium zone, the space between the 8 and 21 EMA. And we'll see what sort of continuation we can get off that, if we are able to get continuation off of it. It's still absolutely a bullish market. The technicals here are extremely bullish, and I don't think that you can make an argument otherwise. Well, actually, maybe you can if we take a look at the IWM weakness today. But overall, this market still looks fantastic as far as the S&P. It's just a matter of how does this pivot get formed? Is this going to be an absolute low? Do we need more time? Which has been my thought process. Excuse me. A tickle in my throat. Sorry about that. The Qs here, just a tremendous day of relative strength. You know, I was excited yesterday because the Qs were relatively weak. I think at the end of the day yesterday, the Qs were down like 1.3%, and the IWM was down like 0.1% or 0.2%. It was down very small, and that's actually the broader corrective action that I would like to see in a really bullish environment. I don't think that we need a broadening of breadth in order for this market to continue. That's been a big argument that bears have been talking about, is that there's been only 7 stocks that have been leading this market higher. But the one thing that has gotten me a little bit more excited generally is that the IWM, the RSP have caught up a little bit, that breadth has caught up a little bit. But today, you know, this price action honestly is not the ideal price action that I want to see. And that's as someone who does tend to be, you know, more heavily involved to the long side in tech names. So Q showing relative strength is actually what, at least in the short run, oftentimes benefits me the most. But in the long run, I want this to be a healthy bull market. I don't want a parabolic blow off top that can't lead to continuation. I want that healthy, continuous rotation, some of which we have seen. And today we just had a great snapback in the Qs. Qs finished up 1.25% today, whereas the IWM was down 0.7%. That's a pretty big difference between those two indices. The Russell here finally lost that 184, which is the area that I, in an ideal bull world, would like to see the Russell hold. It's not the end of the world, and I had said this, I think, yesterday morning, that if the IWM loses 184, I think I said it with other broader market weakness, which we didn't get. We just had very specific IWM weakness today. If the IWM wants to lose 184, retest the 21 EMA, none of that's the end of the world to me. As long as the IWM doesn't lose the low of this high volume Maribozu that came in on the 6th. I do not want to see this IWM get back below 178.93. If it does that, I think we got problems. You know, 180 was such a big breakout. So again, a broader time correction, price correction at 21 EMA, where we're still above the previous resistance level that we broke out from. Not the end of the world, even though I'm not loving the relative weakness. So we'll see if we can regain some IWM strength, relative strength, or create a bounce pretty soon, ideally tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So not the end of the world, even though this is not what I want to see, is 7 stocks leading the entire stock market again. I want that breadth to be broader, but as long as we're still holding above 180 and really as long as we're still holding above 178.93, then I think that this IWM is technically okay. So, you know, so far so good. No matter what, we got a bigger correction this time around, even if this is it. 3.5 down days in a row into the space between the 8 and 21 EMA. It's certainly different. It's more dramatic in the Qs than it is in the SPYs. It's certainly, you know, different than this, you know, accelerated pattern of higher highs and higher lows that we've been in, where we've barely even pulled into equilibrium for more than a brief period of time. But let's see what this leads to. Let's see if we actually get like a little bit of a lower high that comes in that leads to a wedge, or if the momentum just continues. You know, momentum can be a heck of a thing. I'm looking at this market and I'm like, wow, you know, this market's had a really big move. The concerns I've had have been the space between the 8 and 21 EMA has been broadening. We had a VVIX divergence. It looks like that might have rectified itself a little bit today. I think both the VIX and the VVIX were both super weak. Maybe Pat can confirm that information for me. So it seems like some of those layers of probability that we had been looking at when we were shorting on the 15th and the 16th to look for that deeper time price correction are starting to rectify themselves a little bit. Pat here saying yes, but VIX in downtrend and VVIX on an uptrend in the daily still. Sure, so that's something that we will continue to monitor. Yeah, so broadly pretty strong price action. As far as individual names go, you know, my game plan has really been the same here, day in, day out, where I have been into this pullback, liquidating my shorts. I got out of everything that I had short from just a few days ago at highs. I got out of all that yesterday. I think some of you guys are maybe a little bit more aggressive than I was on that, and you still had some, and we talked about covering into the gap down this morning. And building back into my longs as we pulled back. So I have gotten a little bit heavier kind of each day over the last couple of days as we pulled back. So, decent for me that we were able to get this bounce. But I still wasn't being super aggressive. The Qs got to the upper portion of the area where I was looking to start being more aggressive. I'd spoken about a pullback to the Qs, 357.50 to 360. Today's low is 360.22. The SPYs really didn't get there. SPYs, I was looking more 430 to 432.50. Low of the day today is 433.60. So seems like the SPY is always the beneficiary of the rotation. So I was able to nibble on some continued stock into the gap down this morning in pre-market, which paid me okay. But I'm not dramatically heavy here to the long side at this point either. And again, as far as individual names, I didn't really have too much for today because I'm still letting the market kind of come to me as far as what this correction looks like, and wasn't ready to get super aggressive. One name that we did talk about this morning was Amazon, though. We talked about it yesterday and we talked about it today. We talked about Amazon 124 support, which held pretty much perfectly yesterday. 123.85 was that low. And then we saw this morning it got a pretty nice upgrade. Pre-market was showing relative strength. So this was a focus for a lot of you. I was involved as well. And this thing just exploded off that relative strength really early this morning. You had to recognize that relative strength, recognize that volume increase, and get involved pretty quickly here off this first bar. But I'm pretty sure it was communicated and called out. And then I think Rex here in the VTF had a great call out off this pivot low at 10.05. I love this pattern, by the way. You get the big extension here on good volume with the relative strength. The stock moves sideways in the small time frame, so that's a time correction of extension, right? All the stuff that I'm always talking about, extension corrections through price and time, space between the 8 and 21 EMA, that applies in every time frame. So a lot of the times when you get like a bull flag type pattern, which is what I would describe this as, you get like a quick almost shakeout of the lows of the flag to shake out some of those like super small time frame momentum traders, and that will actually give you that test of that 8 EMA, and then you get your continuation hammer that comes in. So Rex, the call out there on the timing of this hammer was perfect. I think you were involved. I think some other people were involved as well, and then just great continuation off of that. So if you didn't get involved in the first bar, you easily could have gotten involved when Rex communicated to the team the trade here, and then we just got a fantastic close. I've been trading this thing really consistently for months, and I've had a really strong core position from under $100 with the target of 130, and it got there today. So similar to what I've done with Apple and with Google when they both got to price targets after I've been involved in them for a couple months really, and getting a 30+% return on this thing. Even though this chart looks fantastic to me, and it looks like there's further potential upside continuation on the big time frame, it's I just want to liquidate the position, take a step back after being involved in it for some months, book my profit, and kind of reassess. So that one was great for me as a swing trade, and great for a bunch of you guys as a day trade. And that's pretty much it. I had that DRI on the radar. It was okay back through that 160 if anybody looked at it. The spread was a little bit wide though. Root never really got to the prices that I wanted this morning, so if you didn't have any from after hours yesterday, I don't think that there was any trade there, even though it was on the radar. OSTK traded really well, and one of you guys actually had a great call on this one, and I apologize, I forget who it was. I think Rex might have tried it off the first candle for a momentum trade, and it probably didn't work. But this, I like this. This is more my style trade than the pure momentum trade. I love when you get that little correction and the 8 EMAs catching up, and you get the pivot, or you get the inside and up as the 8 EMA is approaching the lows there. That's oftentimes a signal for continuation. That was a really good call. This was a deep pullback, but just right back into equilibrium with a continuation hammer on the 5-minute chart that led to this phenomenal trend throughout the day. So this one was also, really solid from our morning meeting if anybody was able to capture it. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for you guys today. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. So feel free to post away here in the VTF. We'll also log into the YouTube to see if anyone is posting any questions in there. Heard myself. What do you guys got for me? Anything? Give a couple minutes here. I don't mind doing a short afternoon meeting, but this one would be particularly quick for us. Nobody? Okay, well that doesn't happen too often. Eddie Vick sneaking one in. Would I pay attention to CarMax tomorrow? I think they just reported earnings, right? So it's something that I'll look at with my morning research. You know, it's part of my process. Let me scroll up here and see if we got the CarMax report in the VTF. I'm not seeing it. It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow pre-market or tomorrow pre-market? Okay. Then yeah, I mean, I'll look at it tomorrow morning, which is what I probably would do anyway at this point. So would I pay attention to it tomorrow? Sure. So, you know, part of my morning research that I do every day is I type up and I review every single stock that reported earnings, every single stock that got upgraded and downgraded, and I look to see if there's something in it that interests me. And most of the time, honestly, when I type up a stock, I don't see anything that interests me. And a smaller percentage of the time I do. And that's fine. It can be a little bit frustrating when we are in a difficult market and there's nothing in play. Meaning, and luckily this is not what happened, but if you look at like April and May, when we were in a range for 2 months, this price action could be pretty difficult. But this was an earnings season. And I remember every day, like, oh man, this market's kind of in a tricky spot. But every single day we found great earnings plays and really good opportunities that we were able to focus on. It was like really, that last earnings season I think was a really impressive earnings season for us as a team. Just every day we had ideas, you know, posted in the VTF based on the morning meeting off of earnings plays that gave like great momentum moves, great breakouts, great trades that we were able to be involved in to make money. Like Carvana as an example, down at like $8 is the one that keeps coming to mind because I did really well with it and it was like kind of a layup of a trade. It's tough if you get this and you're like between earnings season. So right now the opposite has occurred. We're in between earnings season, so there has not been a lot of like individual in play stocks to look at, but the market's been in play every day, right? For me, this environment in April, May was like, all right, what's that earnings name? What's that upgrade? Where can I focus? And then now that we broke out, every day it's been like focusing on trading names that are correlated to the market, trading names that are showing relative strength and relative weakness, and not so much trading the names that are in play. Though I'm not opposed to trading them, they just haven't been there. We're between earnings season. Like this morning, you know, just had a few stocks that were specifically in play. Outside of that, I'm very market focused and I'm very focused on the relative strength and relative weakness. So for CarMax, I'll look at the numbers. I'll look at the reaction to the report. I'll see if, you know, where it's trading based on looking at the numbers and based on the technicals, if it's interesting. And if the answer is yes, then I'll add it to my list. And if the answer is no, then I probably won't look at it for the rest of the day unless somebody else sees something interesting in it. So appreciate the question there, Eddie Vick. And it doesn't look like anybody else posted anything. So I'm happy to wrap up a short one. This will probably be the shortest afternoon meeting we've done in a while. So if you're watching on YouTube, I guess give it the thumbs up. If you're here on the VTF, I will see you tomorrow. Don't be afraid to bring your questions. You know, most of the time the best afternoon meetings we have are because you guys are bringing good, thought-provoking questions to the afternoon meeting. But awesome, Pam. But I don't mind taking a few minutes off either. So I will see you all tomorrow. Have a fantastic night.
They call you Dio?
Dio, my initials?
Yeah.